Hi, I'm Roberto Martinez and you're watching Toffee TV.
Welcome back to Toffee TV. We're here to preview the Merseyside Derby this coming Saturday with the Bleacher Report Team Stream app, and I'll be honest, Baz, I'm not really looking forward to this game one tiny bit. I never really look forward to derbies. I don't really like derbies for the obvious reasons. We don't win many. We certainly don't win many at Anfield, and it's been, what, 15 years since we last won one? Kevin Campbell at the Cop End. 15 years. That's appalling. That isn't that appalling? No, it's 15 years since we won a derby.
It's appalling when you consider that Liverpool haven't had a great side over that period of time.
It's appalling. It's appalling. It's nearly as bad as not winning a trophy for nearly 20 years, which is equally as appalling, no matter what anyone tells you, for a club of the stature of Everton. It's a difficult one, this, because, you know, we're coming off the back of a couple of defeats. We've only had one league win all season, and we're going to our, you know, nearest rivals with, well, an air of doom and gloom and everything that goes with it. But should we be that negative about it? Because really, on the face of it, we haven't actually played that terribly this season. We've just been terrible at the back. And do you think if we can put that right, and I'm sure you're going to explain to me how we're going to put that right, if we can put that right, maybe all the other little things will fall back into place like they were last season?
It's hard to be positive at the moment because we're that poor at the back. It's not as if in these games we're under the cosh and something's got to give in the end. And it's because teams are having 20 shots, we're conceding 3. Crystal Palace had 4 shots last week and scored 3 goals. So I think that aspect of it defensively, obviously, it doesn't take a genius to realise that we're struggling big time. I think Liverpool are struggling big time at the back. I think they're as poor as what we are at the back. They just seem to be stronger in midfield at the moment than us. And I think you go to Anfield in these games and you are a bit negative because of what's gone before. And Everton always seem to, no matter how well they're playing, never play like they have been at Anfield, which actually should be a positive thing for us this week, shouldn't it?
But it is a psychological thing, isn't it? I mean, we've said this numerous times. You know, we could play Liverpool at their weakest, and if you swap the kits, we'd
wipe the floor with them,
beat them, no problem. And yet there's this psychological hill that Everton have to get over. The fans, the players, it could be a different 11 for Everton, and it's the psychological problems would still be there. It's something that has festered in the clubs for years, as far as I'm concerned. It's the same thing that's, for me, stops us winning trophies, or certainly stopped us winning trophies with David Moyes. It's something Roberto Martinez is obviously working very hard to change, the mentality of the club, the positivity of the club that we've seen over the last year. But you've got to do it, haven't you? There's no point talking about it and saying it. You've got to actually go out there and change. And I know last season he tried to do that. He tried to be very, very positive. But unfortunately, it was a little bit too positive, because what he tried to do was, on the face of things, he tried to make it look, we're going to go out there and we're going to attack. But when you've got 4 players injured, and he brought them back to him, and say, look, we're going to do this, we're going to have a go, it spectacularly backfired on him.
It did, but Liverpool were ruthless that night, weren't they? On the counter-attack, they played really, really well. Everton were at 6s and 7s, you know, you can't go... And at that time, they were confident, although there was only a point between us. So I think we were probably far too naive. And they were ruthless when they got the chances. And again, even that night, you know, we made a couple of bad errors. You know, Tim Howard come rushing out for the 3rd goal when he didn't have to do, and things like that. So we made some errors that night. But we still, I think we ended up with 64% possession that night and 18 or 16 shots or something. And, you know, but look, it's got to change sometime, and there's no kind of rhyme or reason with derbies why it changes or why it should. I remember it's 15 years since we last won there, but I remember in '84 when we won the title, it was 14 years since we won there, and we'd took some real pastings there within that time. And when Liverpool were at the top of their game, and that year they were champions when we went there, and we hadn't won for 14 years. Everton were a little bit up and down when we went to Anfield in '84. The start, they'd lost a few games and won a couple, and it was a bit... wishy-washy, and Graham Sharp come up with a wonder goal that day and we won the game. And it sometimes takes a victory. We had it last year. We started off last year with those 3 draws. People were a little bit frustrated in them first 10 games, very slow, very much like it is at the moment. The passing's very laboured. And we beat Chelsea with a large slice of luck. Chelsea had battered us possession-wise, loads of shots. We had the Gareth Barry miraculous clearance and they hit the post and everything else. And everything just worked that day and we won 1-0. And from then we just sort of puffed our chests out. We went to West Ham and got a result. Before you knew it, we were rolling off the wins, and then everyone sees the pass a bit quicker. Yeah. Everyone gets a tackle in them, and it almost flips 180 into becoming automatic. You're doing things without thinking about it. At the moment, the crowd are terrified and the players are terrified, it seems, whenever a team comes forward. And it's almost as if once the first goal goes in, we kind of know that there's another one to follow. And that's going to be tested to the full on Saturday.
Do you think the real battle on Saturday is going to be in that midfield? Which means that we're going to have a somewhat of a more organised and a real midfield, because most of the season, I think we've said this before, we're effectively playing with 2 midfielders and 4 forwards. And that's one of the major reasons for me why we're shipping goals. The fullbacks are not getting protection from the person in front of them. The 2 midfield, Barry and McCarthy, can't cover the fullbacks either because they've got too much on the plate in there already. And we're just getting we're getting flooded in midfield. And this is going to be a big part of the game on Saturday, because we know they like to have the likes of Allen in there, they like Henderson in there, they have Gerrard in there. They also have the likes of Sterling dropping in and helping out. They have a lot of men in midfield. And I think for me that's going to be the key area. But if we sort of hand the initiative to them before the game by selecting again four strikers, then I can't see how we can complain if we leave the place without a point.
I think for me on Saturday he's got to either play, and it's a big risk really whoever comes in. I think even though Leon Osman would be disciplined and playing there, I don't think he's quick enough for that game. It passed him by. He may be good for the last 20 to come in and replace someone. So he's either, for me, got to start with Darren Gibson, who's an hour back into it, which is too much of a gamble, or Mo Besic, which is another. Who
might last an hour?
But what you've got to think of is you need 3 midfielders in there who are strong. Stephen Naismith playing off Lukaku is great when you're attacking, but when you're defending, he doesn't drop deep enough, Naisy, so there's a gap. Okay, so therefore, if Naismith's going to play, he's going to have to operate on the right, I would say, to the right, unless he plays down the middle and Lukaku goes out to the right.
But whichever way, one of them players really needs to be sacrificed.
But I think Morales tracks back well. I think Kevin Morales does help Baines out, so I think we're okay on the left hand side. The right hand side's been a problem with McGeady because he runs back, but positionally he's terrible. He doesn't know whether to be wide or tucked in, so I think that's an area. I think if you play with 3 midfielders, you've got Gareth Barry, James McCarthy. If it is Besic, you can get around a bit. He can't do that right hand side. So yeah, of course it's a gamble. He might dive in after 2 minutes and there's the card, and you're thinking, oh my God, Darren Gibson, can he survive an hour at Anfield in the Colton? I don't know whether his legs up to it. So if you take him out of it, the next option is Leon Osman. He's not quick enough in there, so quickly it's either that or it becomes Christian Atsu, who doesn't look ready at the minute, not for a game like this. McGeady might give you something to keep hold of the ball going forward, but doesn't track back. What we could have done with really is Stephen Pienaar being available,
would have been
and Morales on the other side, and then we would have got that. We could have made it a 5. We've got to, as many times as we can on Saturday, we've got to have 5 men in midfield as much and as often as we can do, and then break quickly, because if we try to play this basketball game with them, I think they do it better than we do at the moment. I don't think, realistically, when we're both on song, I don't think there's much between them. Now Suarez has gone, and I'll be honest, I really don't. So people might look and go, that's a bit blinkered. I don't. I think when Everton are at their best and Liverpool are at their best, I don't think there's much between them. But at this moment in time, they look a little bit more solid than we do. But saying that, their defence is all over the place.
It is, and I think hopefully Seamus Coleman will be back. Massive positive if he's back on team. Really,
I think he will.
Really missed last Sunday against Crystal Palace, and if he's in there, he gives that little bit more width that allows you to have an extra midfielder tucked in. I think that's a big key. And See, it's not just about the Merseyside derby. I've been saying this for a couple of weeks. We needed to go back to having a flat three in midfield. To allow three forwards to do what they want. Yeah. Get back to basics. Get back to keeping clean sheets, and then going on from there. You know, try and win games by 1-2-0, whatever. But just get back into the habit of picking up points and picking up wins.
A solid base. If you're given a solid base, your front three can do the damage, but your front three can't do the damage defending and then trying to break because they're not quick enough. But if we had a three across, a proper 4-3-3, then really your two fullbacks should be giving you the width anyway, Baines and Coleman, which they do most of the time. But a game like Liverpool, where it'll be a Colton, don't forget, they'll be pumped up for it, but they're not confident. They've just had to go and had about 100 penalties each with Middlesbrough last night to beat them. Yeah, okay, they've made changes, but they still only scraped through. They've lost the last 2 league games. Yeah. They look shaky at the back. You know, Villa should have been 3 up.
Set pieces, eh? Set pieces.
Oh, we're laughing then. They're terrible off set pieces, and we are... Oh yeah, we're terrible off set pieces as well. No, seriously, if we can keep a solid base in front of our back four, that's probably, you know, the best chance that we'll have, because we don't want to be too open.
So, saying that midfield, who would you have? Who would be the third cog in the wheel of midfield for you?
Probably Bassett should have to be.
Yeah, I'd go with Bassett.
I think Gibson can do the job, no question about it, but I think the thing with Darren Gibson is he just hasn't played enough. He would be disciplined and has got the experience. Bassett is a little bit of a gamble, but the kid's played in the World Cup. He's not an idiot, and he's got legs and can get about, and he's comfortable in possession. So he will probably be the one I'd go for.
Yeah, and the manager's just got to calm him down, hasn't he? And just say, you know, this is a big game. You can go out there and make your name in it. You know, and let's be honest, he's been at the club a couple of months now. He should be going into these games, and this is why we bought him. You can't just say, right, well, he's not ready. At some point, he's got to be ready, and maybe Saturday's the ideal situation. He can go in there and make a bit of an ear of himself. I mean, there's as much chance he can go in there and make a Villa of himself. But for me, that's the kind of play we need in there, because as you just mentioned, Darren Gibson, I'm not sure he's up to speed yet. Osman, you know, he could probably go in there, but again, he'll probably be overrun. And I just think it would be great to have someone like Bessett's legs in there.
I think Osman might be a good shout to replace Bessett later on in the game, just to, you know, to try and keep that discipline. Obviously, depending on how the results going, but I think we want legs in there. We want people like the other week when Villa beat them. They had energy cleverly and people like that running all over the place, and it kind of smothered Liverpool. And that's what we need to do.
And what Villa showed is good counter-attacking team can beat Liverpool at Anfield, and we've shown on many occasions we're a good counter-attacking team. And whereas last season we went there and we had a lot of possession, Liverpool played us on the counter-attack, maybe this time we do the same thing to them. And that's not like running scared or anything, that's just a really good tactic that we should be able to use.
I think, to be honest, we need to use any tactic we can to get the result, because until we can start clicking into place this season, which it will happen, it needs to happen sooner rather than later. Whatever tactic you use, however that brings about it needs to start, and let's hope, fingers crossed, it starts on Saturday.
Any prediction for the game?
2-2. Nice draw.
I think it's going to be a high scoring game, whatever happens. Right, leave your comments with us. There's a nice subscription button up there for our YouTube channel, so make sure you subscribe. Leave your comments. Also get in touch with us on Twitter. It's at ToffeeTV1. We're both a little bit terrified, let's be honest. It is the Merseyside Derby. No one enjoys them. You've been watching Toffee TV. From Baz, from me, Ped. We'll see you next time. This has been Toffee TV for the Bleacher Report Team Stream app.